Hey, close your eyes. You're not in bed anymore. You're inside a bomber, somewhere over Europe, and the night is colder than you thought it would be. The metal floor beneath you hums with the vibrations of 4 engines, each the size of a small car, each loud enough to drown out your heartbeat. You're strapped into a gunner's harness. Your feet are numb. Your ears are ringing. Your breath fogs up your oxygen mask with every exhale, and your hands are locked in a death grip on twin .50 caliber machine guns. You're not flying the plane. You're guarding it. Your job? Keep the other guys from getting shot. Even if that means you get shot first. This isn't a video game. This isn't a history book. This is 25,000 feet of fear, frostbite, and flak. And the only thing between you and an enemy fighter pilot is a few millimeters of aluminum skin and your own bad aim. Welcome to the tail gunner's seat. Welcome to 1944. You wouldn't last a day up here, but tonight you're going to try. If you like stories like this, real ones, brutal ones, the kind that make your heartbeat slow down and your imagination speed up, give this video a like and subscribe. It helps us keep telling them. And it helps you fall asleep knowing someone else had it worse. Now breathe in. Exhale. The engines are already roaring. The bombs are already loaded. And the flak is already waiting. You're not in your bed anymore. You're in the sky, and you're not coming home until the sun comes up. You sit on the tarmac, hands in your lap, pretending they're steady. They're not. It's 0400. Somewhere in England. And the world is quiet in that awful artificial way, like it's holding its breath before something breaks. You're sitting beneath the wing of a B-17, a flying fortress, which sounds like safety. It's not. It's cold. Your flight suit does nothing to stop it. The wool's scratchy, heavy, still damp from yesterday's snow squall. The zipper sticks. The boots are stiff. Your fingers barely work. You can't feel your nose anymore. But that's okay. You won't need it where you're going. They call this preparation. You've been prepping for hours. It means you've stared at the same 10 pieces of gear for so long they don't look like anything anymore. Oxygen mask, heated gloves, chest chute, Mae West vest, radio line, dog tags, gunner's log, morale card. None of it will help when the shooting starts, but it gives you something to do with your hands. Next to you, someone lights a cigarette with shaking fingers. He doesn't speak. Nobody does. No one wants to be the first to say it. This could be the day. You've flown missions before, 10 to be exact. 15 more and you can go home. Statistically, that's unlikely. The odds say you won't make it to 25. You knew that when you signed up. They told you, in the fine print. In the smirk of the recruiting officer who said, "It's tough, but we're tougher." He didn't mention that flak shreds bombers like tissue paper, or that the German fighters are faster, meaner, better. They don't tell you how heavy your gear feels when you're not moving, or how loud silence can be when you're waiting to die. The crew starts forming up slow, staggered like sleepwalkers. Pilot, co-pilot, navigator, bombardier, engineer, radioman, waist gunners, ball turret, and you, tail gunner. Last in, last out. The loneliest seat on the plane. Your position is 70 feet behind the cockpit. Alone, enclosed, cramped. Just you, 2 Brownings and a plexiglass bubble that shows you every incoming nightmare. You walk toward the plane. Your boots clank on the tarmac. Your breath fogs in the dark. The B-17 looms above you like a metal god, oil-streaked, scarred, steaming from the engines like it's already alive and pissed off about it. The paint is chipped, the nose art faded. Someone named her Jenny's ghost. No one remembers why. You climb the ladder slowly. The fuselage creaks. You duck into the cold belly of the aircraft and start crawling toward the tail. It's a crawl. Always a crawl. Tight corridors, wire cables, no insulation. It's not a plane. It's a flying coffin with delusions of grandeur. The smell hits you first. Oil, grease, sweat, leather, and something sour that might be fear. You strap into your harness, knees to your chest, spine curled like a question mark. You look through your sights, not to aim, just to remind yourself how little space you have to miss. You do a radio check. Tail to cockpit, reading you 5x5. No answer. Then, Roger. Tail. Sit tight. Engines firing in 60. You nod, even though no one can see you, even though no one cares. Your oxygen line clicks in. Your heated gloves buzz to life barely. The intercom hisses, then dies again. You're not surprised. The first engine turns over. It's not a sound, it's a presence. Low, guttural, endless. The vibration starts in your boots, crawls up your spine, settles behind your teeth. Then the second, third, fourth. Now the whole plane is alive. It howls. It screams. It begs. You sit motionless, eyes on the horizon, listening to the sound of your luck running out. You can't see the rest of the crew from here. You don't hear laughter. No songs. No bravado. Those died somewhere between Mission 4 and Mission 7. Someone once brought a harmonica. He's not here anymore. You press your cheek to the gun mount. It's freezing, your skin sticks to it. You pull away a small patch of flesh tears off. You don't react. Pain is just noise. You check your ammo belts, 500 rounds per gun. Tracer every fifth. They call that painting. Like war's a work of art. The flight commander comes on over the intercom. Monotone, dead calm. Target is a rail yard north of Magdeburg. Heavy resistance expected. Same route as Tuesday. He doesn't mention Tuesday was a bloodbath. You try not to think about the tail gunner who didn't come back from that one. They hosed out his seat before you got in. Smells clean now. Mostly. Someone in the waist section coughs. You hear a muttered prayer. Then someone jokes. If we go down, I call the parachute. Nobody laughs. Not because it's not funny. Because no one believes in parachutes anymore. Parachutes are a theory. Flak is a fact. The pilot calls for final checks. You run your hands down the guns. Thumb the trigger guards. Touch the safety lever like it's holy. Whisper something to the steel. It doesn't whisper back. The engines roar louder. The plane lurches forward. Your stomach flips. The world outside starts to blur. And that's when it hits you. You're leaving the ground, and everything safe is now behind you, below you. Gone. You're not ready. Too bad. The sky is open. The target is far. And the kill zone is every inch in between. You're in the air now. The wheels left the tarmac 5 minutes ago. You didn't cheer. You didn't clap. You just felt the pitch shift, the jolt vanish, and gravity give you a cruel little grin before handing you off to something worse. Altitude. You're climbing, fast. Faster than you want to. Faster than your stomach can keep up. The tail gunner's seat isn't padded. It isn't comfortable. It isn't even really a seat. It's a metal perch with a cushion that feels like a bad joke. Your knees are bent, your neck is locked. Your feet are braced against the cold floor. The harness is digging into your chest like it resents you. You adjust your position. Doesn't help. The steel still creaks, the rivets still groan, and the window to your left is already frosting over. Your breath fogs your mask. Your fingers sweat inside your gloves. Your thighs ache under the layered flight suit, wool pants, long johns. You itch, but you can't scratch. You're wearing so much gear you feel like a pile of laundry with a heartbeat. And still, it's not enough. Outside, the temperature's already below freezing. By the time you hit 25,000 feet, it'll be 30 below. Maybe more. The air is thinner, colder, crueler. Your lungs have to work harder for less. And up here, frostbite isn't a threat. It's a guarantee. You shift again, trying to keep circulation in your legs. Too late, they're going numb. You tap the trigger on your right gun just to feel something move. It does. That's reassuring. Kind of. Your headset crackles. Tail, check in. You key your mic. Tails up, clear back here. That's a lie. Nothing's clear. Not the sky. Not the mission. Not your thoughts. But no one wants honesty at altitude. They want radio checks and confidence. You give them both, even if neither are real. You glance down through the dome. The ground is gone now, swallowed by clouds and distance. No cities, no roads, just a white smear of frost and fog. The sun hasn't risen yet, but the sky's starting to glow a thin silver line just above the edge of the world. You stare at it. Not because it's beautiful, because it might be the last sunrise you see. A shadow moves below the horizon, another bomber, then another, and another. The formation is building. Dozens of planes, hundreds of men, all flying in the same direction, toward the same target through the same teeth of the same monster. You imagine it from the ground, a dark swarm overhead, growling across the sky like steel bees with bombs strapped to their bellies. You wonder if the Germans look up and feel fear, or if they just reach for the flak guns and get to work. Inside the bomber, it's all metal and motion. The fuselage vibrates like a tuning fork. Every bolt rattles, every weld groans. The cold isn't just cold, it's alive. It wraps around you, creeps into your bones, makes a home there. The heating element in your gloves stopped working 20 minutes ago. You haven't told anyone. Because what would they say? Keep your fingers warm, you'll need them when the fighters come. They're right. But that doesn't help. You reach behind you, tug the ammo belt into place. It feeds into the twin .50 cals like a conveyor belt of anger. Brass casings, armor-piercing tips, tracer rounds spaced every fifth, so you can see your own desperation curve through the air. You check your backup belt, then your emergency oxygen tank, then your chute. Still packed. Still useless in a spin. You glance at the escape hatch beneath you. It's small, tight. You've practiced crawling through it during drills. You've never succeeded in less than 20 seconds. You know what happens in 20 seconds during a fire, or a wing strike, or when the fuselage rips in half at 400 miles per hour. Spoiler, you're not making it out. But the instructors told you to believe, so you do. Sort of. The headset cracks again. Enemy radar pinging south of the target zone, flak likely, stay sharp. You don't respond. Because there's nothing to say. Staying sharp is like telling a drowning man to stay dry. You watch the bombers fall into formation-wide V-pattern staggered heights, all with the same goal: drop, turn, survive. The sun creeps higher, painting the wings in amber light. For a second you forget where you are. Then the plane shudders. Not turbulence, just a reminder. The fortress is a beast, and beasts don't like being tamed. You suck in a breath. Smells like grease, oil, leather, sweat. Someone once said B-17s are built to take punishment, that they can fly with half a wing, 3 engines, and a tail full of holes. That's true, but you're not a B-17. You're just a human in a very fragile shell. And the bullets don't care what you're made of. You hear a cough over the intercom. Someone clicks their mic twice code for bored but alive. Someone else replies with 3 clicks. Copy that. You click once, just to say you're still here. You wonder if anyone hears it. You wonder if anyone would notice if you didn't. Then you see them. Tiny dots on the horizon. Just specks at first, moving fast. Too fast. You know what they are. Messerschmitts, Fokker Wolfs, hunters, coming straight for you. The intercom hisses again, and this time the voice isn't bored. Bandits, 3 o'clock high, multiple, closing fast. And just like that, the cold doesn't matter. The gear doesn't matter. The seat, the straps, the sweat, the steel, all of it disappears under one word. Incoming. You grip your handles, flex your fingers, lower your goggles, and wait. Because there's no cover up here. No foxholes. No walls. Just sky, speed, and your own ability to not die. This isn't flying. This is surviving. And the fight's about to start. There's a sound that every bomber crewman dreads. It's not the engines, not the flak, not even enemy fire. It's the sound of isolation, the ramp closing. It's not a physical ramp like in landing crafts, it's a metaphorical one, the point of no return. When you're airborne, when there's no landing strip behind you, when the mission is live, when the sky becomes a coffin lid bolted shut from the outside. You feel it in your bones. That moment. The last radio tower fades behind you. The coastline disappears under cloud. The chatter on the intercom goes hollow, not quiet, just distant, like everyone's already somewhere else in their heads. You hear the pilot's voice again, calm, dry. Crossing into hostile airspace. ETA to target 1 hour 12 minutes. You don't reply. No one does. It's not silence. It's consent. That's when the questions start crawling in. Not loud, not panicked, just curious. Will the flak get us? Will they come in high this time or low? Will I jam? Will the cable snap on my chute? Will my gun freeze up again? And the worst one, will I burn? You try not to think about that part, but you always do. The briefings don't talk about fire much. They focus on formations, altitudes, fuel loads. They don't mention that bombers don't crash gently, that when they go down flaming. You've seen it. Out the side glass. 1 minute a fort flying steady. Next minute a flash, then smoke, then pieces. 5 shoots if they're lucky. Usually less. You ask yourself a different question. If I have 10 seconds before the tail tears off, what do I do? Grab your chute? Unbuckle? Pray? None of those feel like good answers. You breathe through your nose. Your mask sticks to your face. You adjust the headset. Static. Your gun sights are fogging. You wipe them with your glove. Doesn't help. Just smears it. You think about your trigger. The gloves make it hard to feel. You can't afford to fumble when the enemy fills your sights. You press your forehead against the frozen glass. The world outside is infinite and empty. That's the thing about the sky, it lies. It looks open, clean, but it's full of teeth, invisible ones. Radar, flak towers, fighter wings. They're already tracking you. They know the route, they know your altitude, they know how far to lead their shots. You're not sneaking in. You're walking into the front door in formation, in broad daylight, with a flashing neon sign that says, "Drop bombs here." The navigator mutters something over the line. He's off by a mile, maybe 2, doesn't matter. You glance at your watch. Time slows at altitude. 1 minute becomes 5. 5 become 30. You measure the passage of time by how many times your feet go numb and come back. Every 5 minutes you flex your toes. Every 10 you shift your weight. Every 15 you check your guns. The barrel jackets are frosted over now. You hope they don't freeze. They froze once before. Mission 6. You didn't shoot a single round. You just watched the Germans come in and hoped someone else would take care of it. They didn't. Your intercom crackles. Fighters, 11 o'clock high. That's not your side of the plane. But it doesn't matter. Because if they get past the front, they come for you next. You sit straighter, hands on the handles, eyes through the scope. You do a dry sweep tracking left, then right. Nothing yet. The engine pitch changes. Slight, subtle. The pilot's adjusting, maybe climbing, maybe banking. You feel it in your gut before your ears register it. The formation tightens. Wings line up like blades. Steel drifting through sunlight. This is it. This is the hour you earn your pay. If you survive it. A glint on the horizon. Just a flicker. But your stomach drops. Because you know what it is. Canopy glass. Sunlight off a wing. German. Faster than you. Sleeker. Better guns. More fuel, more agility, more everything. And there's more than one. You reach for your ammo belt. Check the feed. Check the sights. Breathe in. Hold. The intercom lights up again, chatter now. Shouting. 3 on the left. They're diving under. Coming up 12 o'clock. Tail gunner, check your 6, they're circling around. You swing your turret. And there they are. Black crosses. Yellow nose paint. Smoke trails behind the engines. Tiny at first, then big. Then huge. They're coming straight for you. The first burst misses. You didn't even mean to fire. Just squeezed too soon. The recoil punches your shoulder. You adjust. Track left. Lead the target. And then you start firing for real. The guns buck in your hands. The vibration rattles your bones. You can't hear anything anymore, just the rhythm of fire and the blur of tracers carving orange arcs into the sky. You're not aiming. You're reacting. Instinct. Muscle memory. Pure panic. Rounds dance across the nose of the Messerschmitt. He pulls up, veers right, climbs out of range. You don't celebrate. Because another one is diving. This one's better. He corkscrews through the sun glare. You lose him. And suddenly he's there, filling your entire view. You fire. He fires. Your glass cracks. Something punches your leg. You scream. Or maybe you don't. The plane shakes violently. Not from flak. From you. You're hit. You don't know where. You just know it's wet. Hot. Stabbing. But you keep firing. Because if you stop, you die. You watch your tracers walk up his wing. One hits, then another. Smoke. He peels off. Spirals down. You don't know if he crashes. You don't care. Because you're still here. And that means someone else is already coming for you. You slam another ammo belt into place. Your leg screams. You ignore it. You're strapped into a frozen metal box 25,000 feet above a country that wants you dead. And all that stands between you and falling is a trigger and a heartbeat. The ramp is closed. And the only way out is forward. You're still alive. You're still in the air. You're still bleeding. Your left leg is hot. Your toes are cold. Everything in between is confusion. You don't know if it's shrapnel or a bullet. You don't know how deep it went. You don't have time to find out. You're a tail gunner, not a medic, not a strategist, not a survivor, not yet. You're a man strapped to the last 5 feet of a bomber surrounded by metal, frost, and math that's not in your favour. Altitude doesn't care. You're at 25,000 feet. The air is thinner than your hope. Your mask is frosting on the inside. Your lungs burn from trying to breathe through a straw. You can hear your breath now, not in your ears but in your skull. A rasp, a hiss, a wheeze. You check the oxygen line. Still plugged in, still working, barely. One kink, one rupture, one bump of turbulence, and the next 10 minutes are hallucinations followed by death. Altitude doesn't care. You shift your weight. Pain spikes up your leg. You wince. Not too loud. Not because of pride, because you don't want the intercom to pick it up. If someone hears you scream, they might panic. And if someone panics, they might make a mistake. And up here, mistakes echo like thunder. You glance at your ammo belt. Half spent. You reload by feel. You don't look down anymore. Because every time you look down, you remember how far there is to fall. The sky around you is a sheet of pale blue stretching into forever. Too bright. Too still. Like a porcelain plate with your name on it. The horizon is blurry now. Not from weather. From your own eyes. Your goggles are fogged. You take them off, wipe them clean, and immediately regret it. The air hits your face like a slap made of needles. Your cheeks go numb. Your nose stings. The moisture in your eyelashes freezes. Altitude doesn't care. You see movement off your 3. Another fighter. Or maybe the same one. You swivel the turret, track the shape. It ducks behind cloud cover. Gone. You wait. Count to 5. Count again. Nothing. You breathe. Too fast. You slow it down. Your teeth hurt. Not from fear. From the cold. The vibration of the plane shakes your fillings. Every metal edge you touch bites back. Your gloves are lined, but it doesn't matter. Your fingers have been numb for 40 minutes. You check your trigger. Still working. Still warm from friction and desperation. Someone shouts over the intercom. Tail, you see that bogey swing behind us? You click twice. Yes. Then, still tracking? One click. No. It's not a conversation. It's a checklist. Because conversations are for cafes. And you're not in a cafe. You're in a sky filled with murder. You try to lean forward. Your muscles don't respond. They're locking up. You flex your thighs. Flex your calves. You feel nothing. You punch your own leg. Twice. Hard. Still nothing. You tell yourself it's just the cold. Not blood loss. Not nerve damage. Not the start of dying. Just cold. You lie to yourself. It helps. The tail section groans. Metal on metal. Expansion. Contraction. A reminder that even the plane is suffering. B-17S weren't built for comfort. They were built to deliver hell from above. And in return, they live in hell. You feel the weight of your harness digging into your shoulders. Every strap is a leash. You're restrained by necessity. If this bird tilts, if it dives, those straps keep you from becoming part of the wreckage. But they also mean you can't escape fast. You can't reach your chute without wriggling like a worm through a tunnel. You can't move without hurting somethings. You check your guns again. Slide one open. Wipe frost from the feed tray. Reseat the belt. You don't even notice the pain in your fingers anymore. Altitude doesn't care. You think about food. Not because you're hungry, that feeling's long gone, but because it's normal. A sandwich, a warm drink, a table. Then a fighter dives through formation. You fire instinctively, blindly. The barrels scream. The vibration shreds the silence. Brass casings rattle across your ankles. You see tracers arc through space like threads of orange light pulled by invisible hands. He veers. Your shots miss. but he doesn't return. For now. Your headset buzzes again. Tail damage report. You hesitate. What do you say? Left leg's bleeding, oxygen sketchy, guns are iced, I can't feel my hands. You say, still operational, because anything more invites doubt. And doubt kills faster than 20mm shells. You close your eyes for half a second, try to imagine home. But all you see is frost. All you hear is engine noise. All you feel is metal. And you remember the plane doesn't love you. It won't save you. It won't warn you. It won't care when your turret fills with smoke. It's just a machine. Just like the ones chasing you. Altitude doesn't care. It strips you bare. Freezes your thoughts. Steals your voice. It turns your body into a system of failing parts, your brain into a radar, your soul into static. You are not a man up here. You are a sensor, a gun, a ghost, and you're very, very cold. There's a moment, right before the first shot is fired, where everything slows down. Not in a good way, not peaceful, just held. The sky still looks the same. Your hands are still on the guns. Your blood still hums in your ears. But something's shifted, and you feel it. In your gut. In your teeth. In the way the plane doesn't shake because it's waiting. Then you hear it. Over the intercom. Fighters. 6 o'clock. Multiple. Fast. You already knew they were coming. But knowing doesn't help. You tighten your grip, pull your goggles down, lean into the turret, and there they are. Black crosses, yellow stripes. The wicked glint of guns pointed straight at your heart. You don't get to think. You just act. You fire. The .50 calls roar to life, not loud, but final. Each pull of the trigger is a contract with death. Each tracer a question. Will this one hit? Will this one matter? Your turret rattles. Your vision shakes. Your arms scream. The lead fighter rolls left, dances through your spray like he choreographed it. The second peels under. The third doesn't. You catch him. Not square. Not clean. But enough. You see the glass spiderweb, see the wing dip, see the smoke start. You don't cheer. You just track the next one, because he's already there. They're faster than you. They always are. You're a barn door with teeth. They're knives with engines. One slams past so close you feel the heat off his exhaust. You turn too late. Your shot clips his tail, nothing critical. He disappears into the sky. Rejoins the others. It's not a dogfight. It's a hunt. And you're the thing being hunted. Your radio sparks again. Waist gun down. Then, right engine smoking. You don't turn. You can't. You are the tail. The rear. The watcher. You only look forward to look back. Someone screams something over the line, might be German. You're not sure. You catch movement to your high five. Track it. Fire. Nothing. The cold is gone now. Replaced by fire. Not literal, not yet. But your blood is boiling under 10 layers of frozen gear. Sweat runs down your back. Freezes halfway. You don't notice anymore. The next pass is faster. A quartet. 4 at once. 3 low, 1 high. You can't shoot them all. You can't even see them all. You pick the high one, the riskiest, the cockiest. You lead him with your sights. Breathe. Squeeze. You hit him. Square. Dead center. He doesn't roll. He stops midair, like someone pulled a switch. He spirals out of frame. Gone. No shoot. You don't celebrate. You move to the next. A tracer streaks past your face close enough to light up your goggles. You flinch. Then fire. One of the low ones cuts across the formation trying to hit your wingman. You follow him, not to protect your friend, to protect your own flank. Your guns roar again. Brass falls like rain. Your voice goes hoarse from yelling commands no one hears. Then something cracks. Not your gun, not the plane, your leg. The one that was already hit. The cold wore off. The pain came back. And it brought friends. You can't feel your toes. Can't move your ankle. You're bleeding again, fast this time. You don't stop firing, because stopping is dying. Hesitation is permission. And these pilots don't ask for permission. Another one comes straight at you. His eyes are visible through the canopy. That's how close he is. He fires. You fire. You don't blink. Glass shatters. Yours or his doesn't matter. Your turret rocks sideways. Something explodes behind you. Your headset goes silent. No more chatter. No more voices. Just static. You could be the last one alive back here. You could be dead and not know it yet. You fire again. The guns jam. Right one first, then the left. You scream, not in fear, in rage. You slam the bolts, clear the chambers, slap the feed tray. Nothing. Again. The right gun coughs, then comes back. The left stays dead. One barrel. Half your firepower. One chance. You see another fighter coming in. Too fast. Too good. You brace. This is it. You aim. Pull the trigger. Hold it. Tracers arc like fury. The fighter jukes, stalls, your bullets rake his fuselage. Then he pulls off. Not because of you. Because someone else lit him up from below. The waist gun. Still active. Still trying. You exhale for the first time in minutes. Your hands are bleeding. You don't remember how. Your chest is tight. You don't remember when you stopped breathing. Your headset sparks back to life. Tail? Status? You whisper into the mic. Still here? And that's all you need to say. Because that's the only thing that matters now. You made it through the first wave. The first contact. But you know deep in the marrow of your bones, that was just the opening act. It's not war anymore. It's weather. And you're inside it. You don't see the sky, you see light. Lines of it. Tracers whipping past your turret like angry fireflies on a mission to kill. Every direction you look, something's moving too fast. Too sharp. Too angry. This isn't a battle. This is a metal storm. And you are caught in the middle of it. You thought you knew what chaos sounded like. You didn't. It's not screaming, not shouting. It's humming, high-pitched, continuous. The sound of 50 planes vibrating in formation, 4 engines each. The buzz of propellers. The whine of dive approaches. The tap-tap-tap of flak bursts. And underneath it all the percussion of the .50 cals. Your percussion. You are the drummer in a band made of panic. You shift in your harness, lean into the turret. Glass fogs again. Your breath is shallow now, fast. Tight. The pain in your leg's gone numb. You're not sure if that's good or if you've just moved past caring. Your left gun's still down. You stop trying to fix it. Right gun's holding. Just barely. You hear a call over the intercom. Eagle 2 just peeled off. Took a hit in the wing. You glance left. See the plane twist away from formation, slow, lazy, wrong. Smoke trailing from engine 3. No shoots yet. You wait. 1, 2, 3 men drop. Then 4. Then fire. The plane becomes a falling star. And the 4th chute doesn't open. You don't react. There's no time. Another burst of tracers rips across your sight line. Incoming. You spin your turret. See him. Black nose, silver wings. Closing fast. You fire early. Always early. Your rounds cut across his nose a curtain of lead. He dives through it anyway. Bold or desperate. Your turret groans as you track him. Hydraulics fighting gravity. You're firing too fast now, gun's starting to overheat. You know what that means. One more belt like this and you'll seize the barrel. You don't care. You hold the trigger. Let the gun scream. The fighter tilts left, pulls a turn, banks behind formation. You twist. Try to follow. Can't. Your arc doesn't reach there. He's someone else's problem now. You check your belt feed. Almost out. You reach behind, slap in the next belt. Your gloves are stiff. One of your fingers sticks to the casing. You rip it free. Lose some skin. Doesn't matter. The waist gunner yells something over the line. Tail, I've got a stinger under our 6. You look. Don't see it. Then there. Low. Black. Hugging the bomber's underbelly like a shadow, you pivot. Fire blind. Just a burst. He jerks upward into view. Tries to roll. Too late. Your rounds take him across the belly. You see parts fly. Fabric. Debris. An oil spray on your glass. He goes down. That's 2. Maybe. You don't keep count. It's not about score. It's about seconds. Every fighter you push back is 10 more seconds of life. That's your currency now. You scan again. The air looks empty. No fighters. No tracers. No smoke trails. Your heart doesn't slow down. It speeds up. Because when it goes quiet in the stormed ray, that's when the real damage starts. Then the flak begins. Not small bursts. Not warning shots. The big ones. You see the first black bloom to your left 20 yards high. Then another. Then 5 more. The sky fills with flowers made of death. Black petals. Red centres. Each one timed. Calculated. Engineered to maim, not kill. A shell hits 20 feet from your tail. The plane lurches. Metal groans like a living thing. You almost throw up. Not from the hit, from the drop. The sudden sink. The feeling that the sky just let go of you. You shout over the intercom. Tail hit, we're good, I think. Someone yells back. Too garbled to understand. Another shell goes off behind you. Close enough to light up your glass. The explosion rattles your spine. Your headset screeches. You taste copper. You blink, your eyes won't refocus. You grab the side of the turret. Anchor yourself. Breathe. There's a hole in the glass now. Small. Star-shaped. Right next to your head. You stare at it. Then keep firing. Because the sky is still alive with movement. You don't shoot at targets now. You shoot at shapes, at flashes, at the possibility of threat. You're not aiming. You're surviving. The flak keeps coming. Shells pepper the formation like hail. You hear someone yell, "Number 4's leaking," one, and another plane 3 rows up takes a direct hit in the nose. It folds, like paper. You watch it fall. No shoots. No wings. You close your eyes. Not to mourn. To reset, you open them again. Steel. Sky. Smoke. No time to feel anything. You are the tail. You are the wall between your crew and the Reaper. Tracer trails fade. Flak grows quiet. You wipe your goggles. Smear oil. Try again. Worse. The intercom hums. Then, halfway to target. You look at the time. You don't remember when you took off. You don't remember how long you've been in the air. Doesn't matter, because you're here. In the storm, the tracer-filled sky, the thunder of guns, the metal rain of war. And the only thing that matters is this. You're still pulling the trigger. You stop seeing the sky. Not because it's gone, because your brain can't hold it anymore. Your world is a circle of glass and steel. That's it. That's all you have. Your viewfinder, your twin guns. The haze outside the dome that might be cloud, smoke, or both. They told you gunners get tunnel vision. They didn't explain how literal that becomes. You don't know what's happening in the front of the plane. You don't know what altitude you're at. You don't know if the bombs are armed yet. You just know that if something appears in your little glass circle, it's probably trying to kill you. And if it doesn't, that's a bonus. Your breath fogs the inside of your mask again. You stopped wiping it 30 minutes ago. Now you just squint through the blur. Your eyes burn. Dry. Over-focused. You haven't blinked in minutes. Maybe longer. You don't remember. The sun's behind you now. Your turret's glare is brutal. Everything's washed in white. You don't trust your vision anymore. Was that a speck in the distance or a smudge on the glass? Is that shadow a fighter or a passing cloud? You don't know. So you fire anyway. A 3-round burst. Just to be sure. You're not aiming now. You're reacting. You're a nervous system wrapped in aluminum. And the worst part? There's no one to ask if you're doing it right. No one to say good job or you got that one. No scoreboard. No feedback. Just the metal. The raw. And the voice in your head whispering, did I miss? You scan left. Scan right. Scan again. Same 5 degrees of sky you've been watching for hours. It's like patrolling a hallway during a fire. Except the hallway is vertical. And the fire flies. You feel it in your spine now, not fear. Compression. Your body's folding in on itself. Back locked. Neck twisted. Knees jammed. Your gloves stick to your palms. The sweat inside them is freezing. You've lost track of your own leg wound. Still there. Still warm. Still bleeding. Maybe. You stop checking. Your vision narrows again. Literally. The edge of your goggles starts to darken not from frost, from fatigue, from oxygen, from panic, hiding behind routine. You take a long pull from the mask. Cold air. Dry. You breathe slow. Count to 4. Exhale through your nose. You read that in a manual. You don't remember which one. The headset buzzes. Tail, do you copy? You click once. That's all they need. They don't want conversation. They want confirmation that the guy in the back still has his hands on the guns. That's all you are now. A pair of hands in a bubble, a silhouette against the horizon, and still you scan. Left. Right. Low sweep. High arc. Repeat. And again. And again. It doesn't stop. Even when there's no one out there. Especially when there's no one out there. That's when they come. Out of the sun. Out of the clouds. Out of your blind spots. That's the trick. You never see them. You just feel them. In your stomach. In the wind. In the way the plane twitches before a pass. The pilot adjusts slightly an engine flare and you know. You fire into empty sky. Not because something's there, Because something might be. This is your job now. To preempt ghosts. To answer questions no one asked with bullets. You lose time again. Seconds become minutes. Minutes become static. You don't remember how long it's been since the last fighter showed up. You don't remember how many rounds you fired. You don't remember what silence used to sound like. Your ears are gone. Replaced with vibration. A constant hum you mistake for thought. You check your ammo. 3 belts left. Good. Or bad. Depends on how far the target is. The bomb run is coming. You can feel it in the voice of the pilot when he checks in. Final approach in 5. Eyes up. All gunners alert. You aren't alert. You're reduced to reflex. To machine. To whatever lives in the back of your skull when logic runs out. You take a sip of water from the canteen. It tastes like aluminum and fuel. You spit it out. The clouds part ahead. The sun moves. The light in your turret shifts just enough. And suddenly you see it. Another fighter. Far. Banking. Just a glimpse. But real. You track him. Slow. Precise. He doesn't come in yet. He waits. Smart. He's been watching you too. You know what he's doing. He's waiting for the bomb drop. For the moment you're most distracted. The moment you look down. Even for a second. And when you do, you'll be inside your bubble. You sit still. Steady. Every muscle locked. You wait for him to make the first move. Because you don't fire early anymore. Not after last time. Last time, you jammed your gun on the 3rd pass. Last time your belt caught on the casing. Last time the ball turret took the hit you were supposed to stop. You breathe. Again. 1, 2, 3. Focus. This is your whole world now. A 10-inch window, a gun, and a maybe. You wait. Because tunnel vision? It's not a problem. It's the point. It happens fast. Always faster than you think it will. No warning, no radio call, no shadow on the wing. Just movement. A flicker across your scope. A streak against the clouds. And then gunfire. Not yours. Theirs. It hits the tail like a hammer. Metal tears. Rivets scream. The sound is so sudden, so wrong, it takes you a second to even understand it. You don't feel heroic. You don't feel brave. You just feel hit. Again. This time in the back plate of your turret. Something ricochets near your ribs. Something else slices across your shoulder. You yell, but your mic's already cut. You don't know if it's blood or sweat or both, but your glove is slick. Your fingers fumble on the handles. The fighter swings low, fast, hard, confident. He knows the tail is weak. He knows it's where the plane breaks first. You try to swing around. Try to track him. Your turret stutters. The hydraulics are lagging. Or maybe that's you. You fire anyway. Bullets slam out of the barrel like desperation. You don't aim. You just saturate. The fighter pulls up, rolls out. Missed. But it doesn't matter. Another one is coming. He's behind you now. Low angle, high confidence. And there's no one left to cover that arc but you. You try to move. Your harness catches. Your body screams. Something's torn. You don't look. Looking wastes time. You lean. Aim. Wait. Wait too long and you die. Shoot too soon and you die anyway. You don't think about glory. You don't think about country. You think about the crew in front of you. The pilot, the navigator, The guy in the ball turret who hasn't said a word in 20 minutes. They don't know what's coming, but you do. And this is the moment it all makes sense. You're not back here to shoot. You're not back here to spot. You're not even back here to survive. You're back here to take it first. To be the first thing they hit. So someone else doesn't have to. The plane doesn't have armor in the tail. It has you. You are the shield. You squeeze the trigger. Guns roar. The fighter climbs into your spray. You see the canopy crack. See him jerk. He's hit. But he's still flying. He gets one more burst off. And this one hits hard. Your glass explodes inward. Shards bite your face. Your headset goes dead again. The world tilts. Your back slams into the side of the turret. Your left leg kicks. Your head snaps forward. Then silence. Not quiet. Real silence. Your ears are ringing so hard the noise has curled into nothing. You breathe. Twice. Shallow. Painful. You're still in your seat. Still holding the guns. Still alive. But everything hurts. And everything is red. You look down. The turret floor is slick. Your boots soaked. You don't know how much of it is yours. You check the sky again. No fighters. For now. You exhale. And then, finally, you speak into the dead headset anyway. Tail to crew, still here, still shooting. You say it for them. You say it for you. And in that moment, the meaning of your job has never been clearer. Because the gunners who think their job is to shoot, they don't last. But the ones who understand the truth, that their job is to shield, to bleed before the rest of the crew does, to catch the first punch so the plane doesn't go down, those are the ones who last long enough, not forever. Just long enough to get the bombs out, to turn around, to maybe make it home. You shift your weight. Your shoulder screams. The turret creaks. Blood hits your lap in a steady tap. You brace anyway, because you know the next wave is coming. You hear the engines on the edge of the sky, and you're still the last man between them and the rest of the plane. You, the shield. They're out there, down the narrow corridor of the fuselage. 12, maybe 15 feet away. But it feels like another continent. You haven't seen them since takeoff. You haven't heard most of them since the first wave of contact. But they're there. Breathing, fighting, flying. And you're here at the very edge of it all, watching their backs, holding the line. You don't know what shape they're in. You don't know if the navigator is still upright, if the bombardier's hands are steady, if the waist gunner is still alive. The ball turret hasn't spoken in nearly 30 minutes. Could be focus. Could be radio failure. Could be something worse. You think about the guy below you, literally beneath your boots, folded into a sphere of rotating glass and steel. He can't stand up, can't move, can't escape. The worst blind spot on the plane, and he volunteered for it. He's depending on you. They all are. And that hits harder than any round. Because up here no one's safe. Not the pilot holding altitude. Not the engineer monitoring fuel burn. Not the bombardier about to open the bay doors over a live German city. And definitely not you. But if something breaks through the tail, if one fighter snakes past your fire, even for 3 seconds, it's not you who dies. It's them. You're the last lock on a rusted door. You're the back wall of the fortress. And they don't talk about that part in the briefing. They don't talk about how being in the tail means carrying more than guns. You carry the lives of the people in front of you. You carry the whole damn mission. And that's not glory. That's pressure. You think about their faces. Not in a heroic way. Just flashes. The co-pilot's crooked grin. The bombardier's humming when he's nervous. The engineer and his pre-flight superstition tapping the right engine cowling exactly 3 times before takeoff. Stupid rituals, but they matter up here. Every man in this bomber is stitched to the next by ritual, habit and steel. A single unit. A single machine. And you're the farthest bolt in the structure. The one most likely to shake loose. You don't get to share the warmth of crew jokes. You don't get to glance sideways and see someone nod, "I got you." You don't get shared eye contact or a pat on the shoulder when things get quiet. Because you're always alone. By design. By necessity. And maybe by sacrifice. Because someone has to be. And you said yes. The intercom clicks. Then, tail, report. You press the button, still lightheaded, still bleeding, still holding the right gun like a lifeline. Still here, you rasp. Pause. Then the pilot's voice, flatter than usual, almost surprised. Copy that, good work. Good work. 2 words, nothing more. But they matter. Because in this place, at this altitude, good work doesn't mean promotion. It means survival. It means trust. And for the first time since Wheels Up, you feel something solid. Not pride, not relief, but connection. You're part of something. Not just the plane, not just the formation, not just the war, but them, the crew below you, the ones you haven't seen in hours. The ones whose lives you're buying one burst at a time. They don't say thank you. They don't need to. Every minute this plane stays in the sky is thanks enough. You glance forward. There's nothing to see, just a riveted wall and a narrow crawl space. But still you stare through it. Like maybe your eyes can reach through metal and find someone blinking back. You shift in your harness. The pain in your shoulder reminds you you're still leaking. Your gloves are stiff. Your back is soaked. You hear another voice, waist gunner this time. Bandits regrouping portside. You lean back into the turret. Scan the sky. Nothing yet. But soon. You lock your eyes on the horizon. Rest your fingers on the trigger. And you make peace with the job again. You're not here to win. You're not here to kill. You're here to shield, to soak up the fire before it hits your crew, to die before they do, to keep the fortress in the air long enough to matter. You are the backstop. And if today's your last day, then fine. But the rest of them, they go home. Even if it costs you everything, the first jolt feels like a punch. Not from outside. From below, the bomber drops suddenly like it forgot how to fly for just a second. Your stomach slams into your spine. Your teeth clack together hard enough to chip. Your knees slam into the frame. You blink. Try to orient. Try to stay upright. Another drop. Harder. Lower. Longer. Then a rise. Then a sideways lurch that feels like the wing just gave up. Turbulence. But not the kind you get on commercial flights. Not the kind the stewardess smiles through while pouring coffee. This is war turbulence. Altitude instability at 25,000 feet. With full bomb racks. With full tanks. With blood in your boots. The plane rattles. The metal skin groans. Your turret bucks on its track 6 inches of side-to-side slam that almost dislocates your shoulder. You hold on, because if you don't, you bounce. And if you bounce too hard, you miss the next attack. You lose your line of fire. You die. This isn't weather. This is mechanical exhaustion. The fortress is tired. You can feel it in every bolt. The engines strain. The left wing jitters in the slipstream. The flaps are probably iced. You're flying a castle with arthritis. And now the turrets are paying for it. Your own housing moans with each shift. The rotation is off by a half-second. Not enough for the pilot to notice. But you notice. Because half a second is the difference between tracking a fighter or missing your shot. Half a second is a kill. Or a coffin. You grip the handles harder. Feel your muscles cramp. The cold's been in your joints for so long now you don't even recognise it as separate from the pain. Your headset crackles. Ball turret. I'm stuck. Rotation jammed. I'm blind down here. You wince. That's bad. That's really bad. If the ball's locked, there's a hole in your defence. A place the fighters can come through unchallenged. The pilot's voice cuts in. Tail, confirm visibility on lower aft. You scan. Slow. Methodical. The turbulence makes it harder, but you manage. Negative. Clouds thick. Minimal visual. Translation. We're flying half blind. And they know it. The Germans can read the weather better than any map. They watch for turbulence. They wait for instability. They know when you're weakest, not because of morale, but because of mechanics. That's when they strike. You sense it before you see it. That wrong rhythm in the air. That ripple behind the clouds. That flick of shadow in a direction that shouldn't have movement. And then they come back. 3 of them. In formation. Fangs down. Engine screaming. They're not just aiming for you. They're aiming for the seams. The weak spots. The places where fortress becomes fracture. The leftmost one pulls up. Tries to circle behind your arc. You rotate even though the turret fights you. The torque is off. The bearings groan. You track him. Then fire. Your right gun chatters like it's dying. The recoil bruises your palm. The whole turret shakes with the effort. You land a few hits. He veers off. Wounded. Not downed. You try to rotate back, but the turret sticks, just for a second. Just enough. The second fighter comes low and you miss the swing. He opens fire. Rounds slam into the underside of the tail. One hits the frame behind your head. Another punches through the glass dome. You feel wind, not breeze. Whip. Your oxygen mask almost rips off. You shout more from instinct than pain. You duck. Reach. Swing the turret again manually now. One hand on the pivot lever, one on the trigger. Old school. You fire. Short bursts. Controlled. Every round a prayer. The second fighter clips your wing and rolls off into the haze. Gone. For now. But your turret's not okay. You try rotating left. Nothing. Right? Sluggish. You're halfway blind. And fully exposed. This is the part they don't show in the training reels. Not the bullet holes. Not the blood. The breakdown. When the machine starts to fail. When the design starts to betray you. And when the only thing left keeping this bomber in the sky is you. The guy in the back. Freezing. Bleeding. Rotating by hand. Defending an entire plane from 3 feet of space and a turret built in 1935. Another jolt. The turbulence hasn't let up. You're fighting 2 wars now, the Luftwaffe and Lift. You brace your feet. Try the left gun again. Dead. The right, still warm. Still angry. You reach behind for another belt. Slip. Blood on your gloves. You shake your hand. Try again. You hear another voice on the intercom. Bombardier this time. 3 minutes to drop. 3 minutes. That's all. 3 minutes until the payload's gone. Until you can turn around. Until you can leave this place. But 3 minutes in turbulence is forever, and your turret is dying. But you're not. Not yet. You lean forward. Rest your forehead against the frozen gun sight. Whisper to the metal. Hold together. Just a little longer. And in the wind, in the ice, in the sound of broken hydraulics groaning under strain, you think you hear it. Whisper back. We'll try. 3 minutes. You hear it over the intercom like it's been said 100 times before. Like it's normal. Like it's small. But nothing up here is small. Especially not 3 minutes. You shift in your seat not because you want to, but because you have to. The pain in your leg is dull now. Which is worse. Because that's not healing. That's numbness. That's danger. But there's no time to care. Because you're entering the final stretch. The bomb run. This is what the mission was for. Every bullet. Every dead fighter. Every mile of sky behind you. It's all led here. And now you have to hold for 3 minutes. That's 180 seconds. Sounds short. Feels eternal. The plane flattens out. You feel it in the shift of gravity. No more rising. No more banking. No more dodging. You are now a straight line. Predictable. Trackable. Targetable. The fortress becomes a flying railgun, rigid, committed, vulnerable. Because once the bomb doors open, there's no evasive action. No turns. No dives. It's like taping a target to your back and walking slowly across a shooting range. You try to ignore that. You focus on the turret. Your hands are locked to the grip. Your arms tremble from fatigue. Your right gun is warm again, almost too warm. You're one belt from dry. You don't have time to worry about it. You scan, left arc, right arc, hind. Nothing. And then movement. High. Distant. One fighter. Maybe two. They're watching the drop. They know what this is. They know you can't turn. They know you can't hide. They wait until the exact moment the bomb bay opens. Then they'll dive. Classic tactic. Dirty. Effective. Your headset crackles. Doors opening in 30. That's it. There's no turning back now. No climbing. No praying. You hear the hydraulics kick in. A heavy, groaning sound. Like the plane regretting what it's about to do. Then the shudder. The pitch of the wind changes. You feel it under your boots. The bay is open. You don't need to see it. You just know the bombs are armed. Gravity is waiting, and the enemy smells it. One of the fighters drops out of cloud cover, screaming like a banshee, straight toward the belly. You track him, barely. Your turret's still stiff, still grinding through every pivot like it's chewing metal. You fire. Short. Controlled. Measured. Every round is a ration. You hit his wing. He banks out. Stays airborne. But it buys 5 seconds. The second one dives harder. You try to rotate, but your arc hits resistance. Your gun won't swing past the damage point. He's in your blind spot. You yell. Fighter on 6 coming under. Your voice is cracked. Your headset buzzes out. You don't know if anyone heard. Then you hear the waist gunner open up. A wild, furious burst. You pray it's enough. Then boom. Not flak. Not a hit. The drop. Bombs away. You feel it. The plane lurches up, lightened suddenly by tons of steel falling through the sky. The sound is different. Hollow, like the belly just exhaled. You count it in your bones. 1, 2, 3, 4. You know how many are in the rack. You've read the payload sheet. 5, 6, 7, 8. Then it's done. The bay slams shut, and the fortress dives. Not a plummet, a controlled, practiced sink. To escape the zone. To dodge the blast radius. To not get shredded by their own ordnance. You slam against the side of the turret as the angle shifts. Your wounded leg screams. Your fingers nearly let go. You don't let go. You never do. Another fighter swings past. You spray fire. Miss. Doesn't matter. Because now the climb out has started. The worst part is over. But it doesn't feel like it. The plane's shaking. The air's thinner. The turret's screaming. And still no one talks. There's no cheering. No good job. No, we made it. Because you haven't. Not yet. Not even close. They'll come for you now. Because they know you're lighter. They know you're vulnerable. They know you're bleeding from every corner. You fire another warning burst just to keep your rhythm. You don't even know where it goes. It's like throwing rocks into a storm. You wipe the frost from your goggles with the back of your glove. It smears. You wipe again. Still smears. You squint through it anyway. The world is blurry now. But what matters is clear. You dropped the payload. You held the turret. You didn't break. You lived through the longest 3 minutes of the mission. And you're still here. Still here. You're still here. But parts of you are starting to go missing. Not limbs. Not organs. Pieces. Focus. Balance. Memory. You know you're flying back. You know the bombs are gone. You know the fighters haven't hit in 5 minutes. But it's like the sky won't let you leave. There's still flak in the distance. Still radio static. Still the constant high-pitched whine of the engines. The drone. You didn't notice it before. Now it's everything. Like a needle in your ear that never goes in, just presses. Just holds. You close your eyes. Not to sleep. Just to pause. But you can't. Because the second you shut them, the plane tips slightly, a shift in the wind, and your body jolts awake again. The turret creaks under strain. The frame is colder than before. You try to flex your fingers. Only 3 move. You look down. The 4th is swollen. Split at the knuckle. The glove is red where it shouldn't be. You forgot that happened. The cut must have been hours ago. Or minutes. Or yesterday. Time doesn't exist up here. Only distance. And the distance left is too much. You think about how long it'll take to cross back over friendly lines. How long until the coastline returns? How long until you can even think about landing? And all your mind can say is, I don't have it in me. You're burning out at 20,000 feet, with a bleeding leg, a dead left gun, and a turret that barely wants to rotate. And still you scan. You don't even realise you're doing it. Left arc. Right arc. Check the 6. Repeat. It's muscle memory now. You're not even there for it. You're somewhere else. Maybe on the ground. Maybe at home. Maybe just nowhere. Your body's still flying the mission, but your mind is ghosting, and that's how it happens. Not all at once. Not in a blaze, but in pieces. A second here, a breath there. You forget the radio check. You skip the reload. You zone out for just a blink. That's the danger no one talks about. Not the guns, not the flak, not the fighters. The drift, the mental slide. The moment your brain checks out while your hands still pretend to fight. Because war isn't always about sudden death. Sometimes it's erosion, bit by bit, breath by breath. The sky wears you down, and when it's done with you, you're still technically alive, but there's less of you left than when you started. You feel your back give out a little. The turret rotation knob slides under your palm like it's made of soap. You try to adjust your harness. You fail. You think about saying something over the intercom, just to hear a voice. But then, what would you say? Tail gunner here. I'm tired. As if they aren't. You lean forward again. Rest your head against the chilled casing of the gun. The vibration rattles through your skull like an engine-driven lullaby. You could fall asleep like this. You want to, but you don't. Because something inside you, some splinter of stubborn, angry instinct, still knows you're not done. You're not clear yet. You're not home. You're not safe. The air is still wrong. The sky still feels hungry. So you lift your head. You reposition your hand. You fire a test burst into empty air just to make sure the barrel still responds. It does. Your headset crackles. Bull turret. Coastline in 20. You blink. That can't be right. That's too soon. Or maybe not soon enough. But you don't respond. You're afraid if you try to speak the words won't come out. You just keep scanning. Left. Right. Behind. Your spine's curved like a question mark. Your vision's fuzzy. Your gloves are wet inside and out. But you're still moving. Still watching. Still a presence in the gunner's seat. Burned out. But lit. Flickering. But functional. And up here that's enough. Because maybe you don't need to feel whole to finish the mission. Maybe you just need to show up. Even if only the smallest part of you is left. Something's wrong with the plane. You feel it before anyone says it. Before any lights flash. Before the intercom hisses with bad news. The vibration changes. The hum that's been living in your bones for hours stutters. Shifts. Goes off key. Then the left side of the bomber dips. Just a little. Just enough to notice. You brace. A few seconds later the engine pitch drops. Low. Sluggish. And then the voice comes through. Flight engineer. Calm, clipped. Engine 3's coughing. Might be out. Nobody replies. They're all listening. They all heard it. A Fortress can fly on 3 engines. Even on 2, if the pilot's a wizard. But every one you lose is a coin flip. Every failure adds to the weight that gravity already owns. And out here, the only thing heavier than the plane is the silence. You glance left past the metal, past the frost. You see it. Engine 3. No propeller blur. Just a sluggish windmill turning slow. The cowling's dark. Oil streaks trailing behind it like veins in the sky. That engine's not sick. It's dead. You hear the pilot again. Lower this time, tired. We'll compensate. Stay tight. You want to believe him. But the plane is already limping. And you know what happens to wounded animals in the wild. They get picked off. The Fortress groans with every mile now, like she's trying to remember how to fly. The rudder shakes in the tailwind. Your turret feels loose. Not just slow unstable, you swing it just slightly to test. It wobbles, off axis, off balance. That's new. You tighten the grip, refocus. And then the flak returns. Not thick, not surgical, just a few shots. But you feel them, each one closer than the last. One bursts to your right. Shrapnel kisses the glass. You duck. Another explodes just ahead, too close to the wing. The plane jerks sideways. Your shoulder hits the turret brace. You feel something crack. You don't even flinch anymore. You just breathe. Slow. automatic. This is the new rhythm of survival. Listen, breathe, scan, hold. But then a voice cuts through. Ball turret again. Waist gunners down, hit bad, no movement. Silence. You glance left again, toward the narrow catwalk where he should be. Too far to see, too dark. But you know. One fewer gun on your side. One fewer set of eyes. One more reason to worry. Your job just got bigger. You don't have time to grieve. You just shift your arc. Take more sky into your scan. Left. Center. Right. Again. The fortress lurches again. This time from inside. The control surface thumps hard, like something let go. Then, the pilot's voice, clipped and urgent. Elevator trims out. We're heavy in the nose. You don't need to understand all of it. You just hear the part that matters. Heavy in the nose. That means drag. That means losing altitude. That means compensating the whole way home. And that means, if anything else goes wrong, even a little, the fortress falls apart, piece by piece. Not from one explosion. Not from one hit. From exhaustion. From mileage. This plane has given everything. Held together by bolts, duct tape, prayer, and people like you. And now, mid-sky, mid-mission, mid-bleed, she's starting to let go. And you wonder, quietly, is she going to make it? Or is this the part where someone has to leave, bail out, jump, hope for the best? You glance at your chute. Still strapped in, still tight. But if this bird really starts dropping, will you even get to use it? Or will the tail snap off before that? You don't know. And you won't know. Until it happens. Until you're either floating, sir, or falling. And the worst part? You're okay with that now. Not out of courage. Out of empty. Because you've already lost feeling in your legs. Already lost your friend behind the waist gun. Already lost the turret's smooth swing. Already lost the sound of your own voice. What's left? You scan again. More flak. Farther this time. But you don't fire. You just breathe. Watch. Wait. Because you can't stop the plane from dying. But maybe, just maybe, you can help it live a few more minutes. Long enough for a landing. Long enough for the crew. Long enough to matter. Because this fortress is falling apart but so are you. And neither of you is done yet. You see it before anyone says it. Just a line on the horizon. Faint, pale, blue. Water. Not just any water. The water. The channel. That thin stretch between war and home. Between flame and fog. Between dying out here and landing over there. You stare at it like it's a hallucination. You don't trust it. Not yet. Because you've been up here too long. Seen too much. Lost too much. You've seen planes fall 20 seconds from the coast. You've seen gunners killed with their chutes half open. You've seen radio silence stretch until landing gear collapsed on the tarmac and the tower said, "We never heard them again." So no, you don't trust the water yet. But you watch it. It gets bigger. Brighter. Your fingers tighten on the gun handles without meaning to. Your vision narrows. Because the coast means change. And change means danger. Enemy fighters know it too. This is where they strike hardest. Not over target. Not over flak zones. Here. At the edge. Where your guard drops. Where your fuel runs low. Where your engines cough and your guns run dry. Where you think you're safe. You're not. Not yet. Your intercom clicks. Pilot. Crossing the line, everyone stay sharp. Your turret creaks, still weak, still slow, but moving. You swing it wide, scan the sky. Nothing yet, but that's the problem. This kind of silence? It's bait. You listen. The drone of 3 engines, the occasional cough from the 4th, the wind slicing the tail, the creak of stress in the airframe. Then a flicker, high, fast. Southwest quadrant. You lean forward. Scope in. 2 fighters, coming fast, from the coast. From your side, these aren't rookies. These are the ones who waited, who let you burn out over the target and save their fuel for now. They know you're limping. They know you're light. They know you're almost out of ammo. You adjust. Line up the shot. But the turret hesitates. The motor groans, wobbles, then kicks in. You track the lead fighter. Pull. Hold. Fire. Your last belt coughs rounds like a dying animal. Slower than normal. Erratic. But they still hit. The fighter flinches. Wobbles. Pulls up too early. Not down, but deflected. That's enough. The second one slides under. You twist. Try to follow. You've got maybe 5 rounds left. Maybe. You squeeze. Click. Empty. You yank the belt. Nothing left. That's it. You're dry. You slam your fist into the turret wall. Metal on metal. Then the waist gun opens up. Short, wild, but aimed. You watch the fighter twist away again. Not hit, but denied. You exhale. Smoke floods the turret. Not from damage. From wear. The guns are cooked. The casing's black. Your gloves are soaked. But the plane? Still flying. The water gets closer. The sky gets colder. And then finally, the flak stops. The air smooths. No explosions. No tracers. Just sky. Blue, open, wide enough to believe in. And now, for the first time in hours, you start to hope. Not relax. Not yet, but hope. The intercom clicks. Pilot. We're clear of enemy airspace. Hold tight. Almost home. Almost. Not quite. The crew doesn't cheer. They don't speak. They just breathe. In. Out. Together. It's quiet now. The kind of quiet that makes your heartbeat feel too loud. The kind that feels like a trap. But it's not. This time it's real. No more fighters. No more flak. Just the hum of what's left of the fortress dragging herself home. And you, still in the turret, still strapped in, still bleeding, still alive. You don't smile. You don't cry. You just stare at the water, the coast beyond it, the outline of the friendly fields on the far side, and you whisper to no one. We made it. Not all of you. Not all of the way. Not in one piece. But you made it. And out here, that's everything. You thought coming home would feel like something. It doesn't. There's no burst of emotion, no relief, no exhale of triumph. Just the slow drop of altitude, the rattle of an overworked frame, the noise of a plane too tired to keep pretending. You hear the pilot's voice in your headset. Beginning descent, flaps locked, expect rough landing. You don't nod. You don't respond. You just brace. Because even this, even the landing, can kill you. You've heard the stories, seen the wreckage. Planes that made it over the channel, past the fighters, through the flak. Only to blow a tyre on the runway, or crack the fuselage on impact, or drift just a little too far off course and vanish into the sea. This part, it's not done until the wheels stop moving, and maybe not even then. The fortress drops again, subtle but deliberate. You feel the pressure shift in your chest, the altitude thinning out, gravity pulling pieces of your body back into place. The turret groans beneath you. One last insult. She held this long, but now she's falling apart. The frame ticks. The seals rattle. One of your guns is fused to the mount from heat warping. You don't care. You're not using them anymore. You've stopped looking for fighters. You've stopped scanning. The sky behind you is clean now. But the landing ahead? That's a different kind of enemy. You see the coastline pass beneath. Fields, roads, tiny clusters of buildings. Then the runway. Brown, cracked, wet from rain that fell hours before you ever took off. The kind of runway that only looks smooth from high up. The wheels drop. You hear the landing gear lock in with a dull metallic thud. You whisper, "Please." Not to God, not to the plane, just to the moment. Please don't let this be how it ends. The plane flares. The nose lifts. You hear the stall alarm chirp once a false warning just nerves in the wiring. Then, impact. The tail hits first. Too soon. The jolt runs straight up your spine. Your teeth click. Your neck snaps forward and back. Then the second hit, main wheels, harder. The brakes engage. The fortress starts to slow. Skids slightly. The right wing dips. Almost tips. You hold your breath. The rudder corrects. The plane wobbles. Then it rolls straight. The sound changes. No more engine roar. Just rubber rattling metal and the long moan of momentum losing its grip. You finally let your hands off the gun. You didn't realize you were still holding it. You look at them blood-stained, trembling, locked in position. You flex your fingers one at a time. Pain shoots through your wrist, your shoulder, your back. Still alive. Still in one piece. Mostly. The fortress rolls to a crawl. You hear voices now. The pilot calling in. Ground crew chatter. Distant. Meaningless. You're not listening for words anymore. You're listening for silence. The kind that means the mission is over. The kind that isn't bait. The plane stops. The final sound, the brakes locking. Then nothing. No engines. No flak. No screaming. Just the tick, tick, tick of a hot turret cooling in cold air. You unstrap. Every motion hurts. You almost fall stepping out of the harness. Your boots hit the deck like lead weights. You limp forward. Through the fuselage. Past the waist gunner's spot still empty. Still wrong. You don't pause. Because if you do, you won't move again. You step out into daylight. Real light. Grey. Overcast. Miserable. But honest. The wind hits your face. It doesn't feel like freedom. It feels like wind. A medic walks up. He says something. You nod. You don't hear him. You don't need to. Because you're on the ground. That's enough. You don't feel joy. You don't feel safe. But you feel done. And after everything, that's the only feeling you trust. You're inside now. Not your barracks. Not the canteen. A small, windowless room that smells like pencils and damp wool. The debrief chamber. There's a clipboard on the table. 2 chairs. 1 man with stripes. No warmth. He doesn't ask how you're doing. Because he already knows. Or he doesn't care. Maybe both. He just starts the questions. Target confirmed? Bombs released? Enemy engagement? You answer. Not because you want to, Because you've been trained to. Yes, yes. Multiple fighters, heavy flak. Your voice is flat, monotone, mechanical. He makes notes. You watch his pen move and try to remember the shape of the enemy fighter's nose cone. You can't. All you remember is that it had eyes, not real ones, painted, sharp, white, angry. He asks how many you saw go down. You think 2 or 3 or none. You say, unconfirmed. He nods. He respects that. No lies here. Not anymore. He asks if the waste gunner made it. You pause. He notices. That's enough. He writes something different for that one. Not a check mark. A name. You don't read it. You don't look up at him. You don't look anywhere. Because your vision still feels like the turret glass. Narrow. Fogged. Cracked at the edges. He finishes. Good work, he says. You nod. And that's it. That's the debrief. No ceremony. No salutes. No medals. Just a record. Because you didn't come back a hero. You came back a statistic. One more crew that survived. One more sortie completed. One more line on the board. You leave the room. Step into the hallway. It's quiet. Too quiet. You don't hear engines. No shouting. No marching boots. Just the low murmur of a bass that's trying not to remember what it cost to stay running. You walk past other airmen. Some look at you. Most don't. You don't blame them. You wouldn't look either. You head for your bunk. You don't take off your gear. You just sit. The blood on your gloves is dry now. Your leg aches. Your face is crusted with salt sweat or tears or both. You lean forward, elbows on knees. The bunk creaks under your weight. You stare at the floorboards, see dust, oil, a thread from someone else's uniform. And the silence? It's loud. Louder than the .50 Carls. Louder than the flak. Louder than the screaming. Because now there's nothing to hold your focus. No sky. No enemy. No job. Just stillness. And breath. And blood that hasn't yet realised it's allowed to rest. You think of the waist gunner. His laugh before takeoff. The way he always hummed a song he never finished. You try to remember what it was. You can't. All you hear now is wind. Like you're still in the turret. Still up there. Still spinning. You sit for a long time. Not moving. Not speaking. Not blinking. You're still flying just inside now. Still scanning. Still bracing. Still listening for a sound that might not come. And when it does, another mission, another call, another knock on the door, you'll stand. Because you don't have a choice. Because you said yes. Because silence doesn't last. Not in war. Not for gunners. Not for long. The planes are landing, but not all of them. You hear the engines one by one, some high, smooth, healthy, some sputtering, some dragging their own weight like wounded animals. But others, you don't hear at all. You wait. 10 minutes. 20. A few more fortresses limp in, wheels screeching, flaps buckled. You count them. 1 short, then 2. By the end of the hour you've stopped counting, because the ones who don't come back, you already knew, before the tower confirmed it, before the mission report posted it, before someone whispered it in the mess hall with eyes down and coffee untouched. You felt it. Out there. Somewhere between the flak burst that shook your tail and the last time the ball turret spoke. You knew, and now it's real. Names go up on the chalkboard. White. Neat. Temporary. A crew from the 92nd. Gone. 7 men. Maybe 9. Maybe pieces of them made it out. Maybe someone's floating in the channel, waiting to be pulled out by a boat that won't come. You don't ask. Because the ones who don't come back, you honour them by not guessing, not pretending, not trying to fill in their last moments with glory or bravery or meaning. You just say nothing, like they did in the final second. And maybe you write a letter. Maybe not to them, but to someone. A mother. A brother. A wife who didn't want him to enlist. You don't lie. You just choose your silence carefully. Your son was brave. He flew with honour. He watched our backs. You leave out the part about the smoke, the screaming, the wing that tore clean off at 18,000 feet, not because you're shielding them, because you can't say it again. You've told too many stories that end in mid-air silence. Now you just fold the letter. Leave it with the officer who handles these things. And walk back outside. The sky is quieter now. The runway's empty. A flat grey field of tired machines and tired men. You pass the wreck of a fortress that barely made it in. One engine gone. Tail half twisted. Turret glass cracked. You pause. It looks like yours, but it's not. You step closer anyway. Inside, the gunner's gloves are still on the floor, blood-stained, torn. You stare at them, just long enough. Then you move on, because you know what this is. You know how war works. It doesn't take all of you at once. It takes one, then another, then one more, until it's not about who comes back. It's about who hasn't left yet, and every day that list gets shorter. But here's the truth they don't print. The ones who don't come back, they're still flying with you. Every pass, every scan, every time you check your six and flinch, you see their faces, not ghosts. Not spirits, just echoes. Fragments of laughter, fragments of screams, fragments of men who sat next to you with helmets crooked and cigarettes unlit. Gone now, but not gone. You nod to no one, adjust your gloves, and walk toward your own aircraft. Because she's waiting. Another mission tomorrow, another sky. Another roll call where one name might not answer, and it might be yours, but not today. Today, you remember them. You carry them. You fly for them. Because the ones who don't come back, they don't need a memorial. They just need a wingman. You try to sleep. You lie down. Boots off. Gear peeled away. Uniform folded the way the quartermaster said you're supposed to, but none of it matters. Because your body might be still, but your mind's still in the turret. You close your eyes and see glass, cracked, frosted, lined with blood and ice. Your neck twitches. The sound in your ears is still engine drone, even though the engines are off. Even though you are on a cot, on the ground, surrounded by silence. But silence doesn't mean peace. Not for you. Because there's still a part of you locked 25,000 feet in the air. Still scanning. Still braced. Still trying to decide if what you saw was a shadow or death. You roll over. Doesn't help. The mattress is too soft. The room too quiet. The blanket's too warm in places and not warm enough in others. It's not like the plane. It's not honest. You sit up. Run your hands down your face. It's wet. You don't know if you were sweating or if you were crying. And it doesn't really matter. You look across the room. Empty bunks. Some with boots under them. Some without. You try not to count. but you do anyway. You know who's missing. You remember where they slept, how they snored, how they always left a sock on the floor, or whistled while lacing up, or scribbled names in a notebook nobody else was allowed to read. Gone now, and in their place, just silence. You lie back down, try again. This time you tell yourself a story, not a fantasy, not a dream, a memory, something old, something soft, something from before, a porch, a summer breeze, a hand on your shoulder that didn't need to be armoured or gloved or ready to pull a trigger. You hold that image like a photograph in the dark. You keep it between your ribs. Let it fill the space war hollowed out. You breathe in, slow, shallow, controlled, like you're still wearing the oxygen mask. You breathe out, and somewhere distant, deep, maybe even imaginary, you feel the turret unwind. You feel the belt run dry. You feel the fortress come to a halt. Just for a second, just long enough, you almost sleep. But even then, your right hand twitches. The fingers curl around nothing, like they're still holding the grip. Still waiting for the next burst. Still watching the sky. You can take the gunner out of the turret, but you can't take the turret out of the gunner. So you sleep with one eye open. Not because you're afraid. Not because you expect danger. But because some part of you doesn't know it's over. And maybe it isn't. Because as long as there's another mission, as long as there's another gap in the formation, as long as the fortress takes off and climbs, you're not sleeping. You're resting. Like a shell in the chamber. Waiting. The knock comes early. Before the sun. Before your bones remember how to be awake. One knock. 2 seconds. Then a voice. Briefing in 15. No emotion. No urgency. Just protocol. You don't respond. You don't have to. They know you heard. They know you'll come. You always do. You sit up. Slow. Your spine sounds like it's made of broken switches. The cot groans beneath you. It feels heavier than it did last night. But that's not the cot. That's you, heavier with what you didn't say yesterday. What you didn't let yourself feel. You stand. Test your leg. It holds. Barely. You get dressed. Layer by layer. Like armour. But there's no illusion. This won't stop what's coming. It just keeps the wind from cutting your ribs open before the enemy does. Flight jacket. Dog tags. Gloves. Scarf. Helmet last. You run your hand along the strap before fastening it, like it deserves a moment of reverence. Because this thing might be the last thing that touches you when the turret turns into shrapnel. You walk out, down the hall, past the mess. You don't eat. You can't. Your stomach doesn't trust food this close to altitude. You reach the briefing room. Same chairs, same maps. Same voice at the front of the room. He says Berlin. He says 30% cloud cover. He says heavy flak expected over the drop zone. You already knew. Doesn't matter what the city is. Doesn't matter what the weather says. There's only one forecast up there. Metal. Fire. And pain. The man points at diagrams. Photos from recon. Arrows on a path no one can guarantee you'll survive. You memorize what you have to. The rest? You'll improvise. You file out. Nobody talks. Just glances. Just boots on concrete. You reach the airstrip. The fortress is waiting. Not the same one. The other one broke too much to be fixed. This one is newer, cleaner, less scarred. but you don't trust it. It hasn't earned its bruises yet. You climb in. Same process. Same turret. Same cold metal under your gloves. You strap in, check the rotation, check the belts, check the radio. You don't speak unless you have to. The pilot's voice crackles. Tail, confirm ready. You press the switch. Say what you always say. Tail ready. Then silence. Then the engines. They come alive like gods waking up angry. One by one. A roar. A rattle. A reminder that you're part of something massive, ancient, and entirely disinterested in your comfort. The propellers spin. The wheels begin to roll. You grip the turret's handles, not out of excitement, not out of fear, out of habit. Because this is the job. This is what you do. You fly. You scan. You shoot. You return, if you're lucky. And then you do it again. And again. And again. Until your name gets erased. Or scratched into a plaque. Or sent in a letter someone else will sign for you. But not today. Today, you fly. Because the war doesn't wait for grief. Or fatigue. Or ghosts. It only waits for fuel. And the fortress is full. You tell yourself it's just another mission. You say the words in your head over and over, like a mantra. Like a lie you're trying to convince your own nerves to believe. Just another run. Just another patrol. Same drill. You whisper it in rhythm with the propellers. But the sky doesn't care. There's no such thing as routine at 25,000 feet. Because every time you fly, the wind is different. The flak is smarter. The fighters are braver. And you are just a little more broken. You're airborne now. The ground slipped away without ceremony. No one waved. No one saluted. You were just gone. Up here the light hits different. Not like dawn. Not like sunset. It's grey. Constant. An endless shade of almost. Clouds below. Clouds above. The fortress hums beneath you, its ribs vibrating in sympathy with your bones. You run through your checks again. Not because they changed, but because you did. Turret rotation. Stiff, but moving. Belt feed. Loaded. Locked. Gun alignment. A hair off centre, you file that in the back of your head. Just in case it matters later. Because up here, everything can matter later. One click. One drift. 1 second. Routine is how they get you killed. You glance out the glass. No fighters yet. But the flak will come. It always does. The crew is quiet. Same voices. Different tones. Nobody's cracking jokes this time. Even the new guys are silent. The green wears off fast. By your second mission, you've aged 5 years. By your 5th, you stop believing you'll see 6. The intercom clicks. Navigator. We're off track. Storm system forced a route change, adjusting heading. Of course. Because there's no such thing as straight lines in war. You shift. Adjust your field of fire. You don't ask questions. You just adapt. Because that's what gunners do. We don't lead. We don't plan. We react. And right now, your gut is reacting. Something feels wrong. You don't know what. The air's too quiet. The horizon too clean. Like the world is holding its breath. You scan left. Nothing. You scan right. A flicker. There. Just beyond the cloud line. Low. Fast. Shallow dive. Too small to be ours. Too late to be far. You call it in. Tail to crew contact low 5 o'clock. possible fighter closing fast. No panic, no shouting. Just a warning. That's your job. The pilot confirms. Roger. All guns on alert. The formation tightens. The fortress groans slightly as the wings flex. You swing your turret, follow the shape. It disappears. Then reappears higher this time. Circling. Playing. That's not recon. That's a predator. You track it. Wait for the break. You know it's coming. Because they always test your edge before they strike. The intercom buzzes again. 2 more high left, forming up. That's the attack team. They're not alone. They never are. You blink once. Long and slow. You check your grip. Breath even. Pulse steady. And that's when you remember. There's no routine up here. Only repetition. And repetition kills just as easily as chaos. The moment you start thinking you've seen this before, you die. Because this isn't just another mission. This is a brand new nightmare, dressed in the same uniform. And you are right in the middle of it. You lock the guns forward. Square your shoulders. And wait. Because they're coming. And when they do, you'll greet them the same way you did yesterday. With steel. With smoke. And with the promise that if they want to kill your crew, they're coming through you first. There's no warning shot. Just the sudden lurch of reality changing shape around you. 1 second you're tracking 2 enemy fighters on a steady arc. The next, the sky rips open. A 4th plane, one you didn't see, dives from the sun. Classic. Cruel. Perfectly timed. The flash blinds you. The guns scream. The fortress tilts. You bite your tongue as your body slams against the turret frame. The pain is sharp. Real. Immediate. And then the headset explodes with noise. Ball turret jammed. Left waist gunner down. Hydraulics out. Flak hit near engine 2. She's smoking. You hear it all. You feel it all. The fortress is wounded mid-air and every system is failing in real time. You swing your turret barely. It's slow. Stiff. The motor's struggling against gravity now. And you are too. One of the fighters loops beneath. Tight turn. Too fast to track fully. You spray anyway. Short burst. Mostly for cover. Mostly for luck. You miss. He doesn't. You feel the hit. Not on you. On the tail. Direct. Something sparks. The turret wobbles. You lose 3 degrees of motion in the rotation. That's all it takes. The enemy swings wide again. Fires. Clips the left elevator. The fortress rolls hard. Everyone yells. The pilot's voice shouts over the intercom. Trim gone, holding what I can. Translation. The plane's barely controllable. You grab the handles. Feel the play in them. There's too much give. Like the whole mount is shaking loose. Your turret isn't part of the plane anymore. It's a coffin dangling off the back. Your vision tunnels. The air's too thin. The oxygen line was hit in the last pass. You reach for the backup tank and it's not there. Gone. Knocked free. Floating somewhere in the fuselage or sucked out mid-flak. You keep breathing anyway. Shallow. Desperate. Like it matters. Like this is something you can breathe through. Another fighter appears above. Close. Too close. You raise the gun. Fire. Nothing. Click. Jam. You clear the chamber with gloved hands that barely respond. Another second gone. Another round missed. He veers off again, this time without damage. You hear the radio crackle. Navigator hit, bleeding out, need a patch kit. You can't move. Can't help. You're glued to your seat, chained to a machine that's coming apart under you. And still, you scan. Still trying to track what's left of the fight. Because that's the only thing you can do. That and wait. Wait for the next pass. Wait for the next strike. Wait for something else to break. Because when everything goes wrong, you stop fighting the mission. You start fighting the math. What's left working? Who's still alive? How much altitude do you have left before you hit the sea? And you start running calculations in your head you never trained for. Can the pilot hold level flight with one aileron gone? How long can you stay conscious without full O2? Is bailing out safer than riding it in? You don't get answers. You just get time. Time to think. Time to bleed. Time to wonder who's screaming and whether it's your voice or someone else's. You take one more shot, half blind. One hand on the jammed feed. One eye on the horizon. The enemy breaks formation. Pulls up. Retreats. Not because you won. Because you're no longer worth the fuel. A kill would be too easy. Too obvious. They're looking for a challenge. You're just wreckage. The sky empties. Not peaceful. Just abandoned. And the fortress? She's flying. Barely. One engine trailing smoke. One wing dipped low. One turret stuck in the wrong direction. But she's flying. For now. You lean back. Your hands fall from the grips. Your arms throb. Your ears ring. Your body shakes from cold and adrenaline and grief that hasn't found a name yet. This was supposed to be just another mission. But up here, there's no such thing. Because when everything goes wrong, you find out what's left of you. And whether it's enough to get home. You're still flying. Somehow. The fortress is limping. One engine dead, another dying. Smoke curling from vents that weren't designed to vent anything. Inside, it's worse. There's blood where it shouldn't be. Tools scattered across the floor. A radio with half its signal gone. And silence where voices used to live. The kind of silence you don't recover from. You sit in the turret, breathing hard through a cracked mask. Goggles fogged, hands shaking. You've lost count of the hits. You've stopped asking if the damage is survivable. Because damage is a given. The only question now is, how long until the next thing breaks? The sky around you is empty. Clear. Flat. Harmless. Like nothing ever happened. Like it didn't just rip half your crew apart. And that's when it hits you. The truth you've been ducking since your first flight. The sky doesn't care. It never did. It doesn't remember who you are. Doesn't care what you gave. Doesn't reward bravery. Doesn't punish cowardice. The sky just is. Cold. Impartial. Endless. It doesn't remember the waste gunner who bled out quietly. It doesn't remember the co-pilot who stayed with the ship until the last second. It doesn't remember the fortress that went down in flames 2 clicks west of the river. And when you're gone, it won't remember you either. Your name won't echo in the clouds. Your sacrifice won't stain the air. You'll vanish into vapour. One more breath among thousands, gone before it's even felt. And somehow, that's the part that hurts most. Not the pain, not the loss, not the fear, the forgetting. Because you've done everything you can. Fought until your fingers went numb. Held the line when the world turned red. And the sky just kept moving. Unchanged. Unmoved. You look out through the cracked turret glass. See nothing. Feel nothing. Not because you're numb, but because you're awake. More awake than you've ever been. You realise now, this job, this war, this flight, it was never about winning. It It was about holding on long enough to matter. Long enough to bring the crew home. Long enough to prove that you existed even if the sky forgets. You grip the handles again. Not because there's an enemy coming. Not because you think you can still shoot straight. Because that's what you do. That's who you are. Not a soldier. Not a killer. Not even a survivor. Just a presence. In the turret. In the wind. In the fight. The sky doesn't care. But you do. And sometimes, that's enough. You land. Somehow. The fortress limps across the runway. One wheel half locked. One wing sagging like it forgot how to lift. The plane groans as it slows, like it's relieved. Like it's done. But you're not. Because the mission isn't over until your boots hit dirt. The turret unlocks. The hatch creaks. You unbuckle your harness with fingers that don't want to move anymore. The pain in your back flares. The cut on your shoulders reopened. The dried blood on your gloves cracks when you flex. You climb down the ladder. Each rung feels like it's twice as far as the last time. And then your boots hit the tarmac. Concrete. Cold. Still. You made it. But you don't feel it. Because the second you step away from the plane, you leave pieces of yourself behind. You leave the turret, the arc of your field of fire, the seat that knew the shape of your spine better than your own bed. You leave the silence, the wind, the smoke that never quite cleared. You leave what it took to survive. You glance back. The fortress sits there, a monster held together by woolen welds. You loved her. You hated her. She almost killed you, but she carried you home. And now she's just metal again. A machine without a crew. You walk, past the medics, past the ground crew, past a clipboard held out by someone who needs a signature. You don't stop. You don't speak. You just walk. Every step is heavier. Not because of your injuries, because of who's not walking next to you. The waste gunner's bunk is still made. His cot's still clean. His boots are still under it. But his voice, gone. His laugh, gone. His half-finished letter tucked into the lining of his jacket. They'll find it later. You walk slower now. Not from pain, not from weight. Out of respect. Like every footstep is an apology. You pass the chapel, past the mess hall. You hear laughter inside. It's real. It's too real. You keep walking. Your barracks are just ahead. Your name's still on the door. Your gear's still where you left it. You open it. Sit down. Not on the bed. On the floor. You take off your gloves. Drop them beside you. They land soft. Too soft for how hard they fought. You lean against the wall, back flat, head tilted, eyes unfocused. There's a knock. Someone asks if you want chow. You say, "No thanks." And that's the first thing you've said all day that didn't come through a headset. They leave. You're alone. Not lonely. Not afraid. Just alone. With the kind of quiet that doesn't ask questions. That doesn't try to explain why you're still here and someone else isn't. The kind that lets you sit and breathe and remember. Because the mission might be over, but you're still carrying it. And tomorrow, you'll get up. You'll strap in. You'll do it again. Because the sky doesn't care. But the walk back always does. What happens when the plane isn't enough? When the armour fails? When the guns jam? When the sky tears your crew out of the air like paper dolls, what do you hold on to then? Because for so long it was the fortress, the steel, the turret, the routine. That metal cage felt more like home than any room with a bed ever could. You memorized its groans, knew its limits, trusted it. But now you know the truth. The fortress is just a machine, and machines break. No matter how many names you paint on the side, no matter how many prayers you whisper during startup, no matter how many times it gets you home, it can't save you. Not always. It can't save the navigator bleeding out next to the charts. It can't catch the radio man when the wall behind him explodes. It can't lift itself out of a nosedive when the left wing goes missing. So what's left when the machine breaks? When your friends are gone? When the sky forgets? You! That's all. What you carry. What you remember. What you refuse to let go of. Not medals. Not mission stats. Not confirmed kills or formation points or briefing scores. You. The part of you that chose to aim even when you couldn't see straight. The part of you that kept scanning even when you couldn't feel your hands. The part of you that got back in the turret even after watching someone else never climb out of theirs. The part of you that's more than the plane. Because up there, you weren't just metal and muscle. You were presence. You were will. You were what the fortress couldn't be. Alive. Aware. Human. And that matters. Even if nobody writes it down. Even if the war never thanks you. Even if the only people who knew your name are scattered across fields you'll never see again. It matters. Because every time you held the line, you proved that you didn't need to be perfect. Just there, just trying. Just one more second. One more breath. One more trigger pull. You were the thing that gave the machine meaning. Without you, the fortress is just scrap metal. But with you, it became something else. A shield. A platform. A promise. That someone was watching the sky. That someone was fighting to come home. So even when it broke, even when it failed, you didn't. And that's more than the plane. That's more than the war. That's the reason you get back in the seat. Not because you trust the machine, but because you trust yourself to outlast it. 25 missions. That's the number they gave you when you first got here. They said it like a prize. Survive and you go home. Not to a new base. Not to a different crew. Home. Stateside. Civilian clothes. Beds that don't shake when it's windy. You remember how it sounded the first time? Like a countdown. Like a finish line. Now, it sounds like a joke. Because nobody tells you how far away 25 really is. Not in miles, not in days. In people, you count by absence, by which bunks are empty, by which names stopped showing up at roll call, by who used to sit next to you in the briefing room and doesn't anymore. You count by who you lose between Mission 1 and Mission 25. And the closer you get, the worse it gets. Because the more you survive, the more you carry, the more you bury. You're at 22 now. 3 more. You should feel something like hope. You don't. You feel cornered, like the sky knows, like it's watching, waiting to make an example out of someone who got too close to freedom. You know guys who got to 23 and died on 24. You know guys who died on 25 after bombs dropped, after the turn home minutes from the coast. Some got so close the wheels were already down. The finish line doesn't mean anything up here. It's just a number, a dare. A ghost in the airframe whispering, "Let's see if you're the lucky one." You start doing things you promised you wouldn't. Little rituals, superstitions. You wear the same gloves. You tighten the same strap 3 times before takeoff. You say nothing about the number to anyone, because the second you talk about it, it becomes real. And real things in this war have a tendency to die. So you act like it's just another flight, even though every time you climb into the turret your hands shake a little more. Every time you look down at the field you wonder if you'll ever see it from the ground again. You think about the guys who finished, the ones who made it. You remember how they looked at you on their last day, not smiling, not cheering, just quiet, like they were already gone. Because part of them was. You get 25 missions, but they don't tell you how many pieces you'll lose along the way, how much sleep, how much blood, how many friends, how much of yourself. So you don't think about it. You just check your guns, secure your mask, lock the turret. You say nothing. Not even when someone says, "Almost there, huh?" You nod. Flat. Non-committal. Because you're not there yet. And until you are, you're still at war. Every mission is your last until it's not. Every takeoff is a question you don't get to answer. You tell yourself 3 more. Just 3. But the sky doesn't care. It's not counting with you. Let's get honest. You wouldn't survive a day as a WWII door gunner. Not because you're weak. Not because you're soft. Not because you couldn't shoot straight or follow orders. Because no one survives a day in this job. Not all the way. Not inside. You can survive the mission. You can land the plane. You can even walk back to the barracks with your boots still on. But that part of you that started the day, gone. Burned out somewhere over the channel. Left behind in the tail section. Scattered across cloud and flak and the sound of someone screaming your name through static. You don't understand what it means to be trapped in a ball of cold metal. Not until it's spinning. Not until it's on fire. Not until you realise there's no out, not fast enough. You don't understand what it means to be responsible for an entire side of the plane. To know that if you miss a shape in the clouds, even once your crew dies before they can ask why. You don't understand what it feels like to hear a hit and not know who it landed on. To wait for a voice that doesn't come back. To guess which name will be crossed off after landing. You don't understand what it means to see a man's body, but not him anymore. To keep firing anyway. Because the job doesn't stop when someone goes quiet. Because silence is part of it. You don't understand what cold really is. You think you've been cold? Try -40 at 20,000 feet. Try fingers that stop working after the 3rd hour. Try guns that jam because your breath froze inside the barrel. You don't understand what fatigue means. Not tired, not sleepy, bone-deep depletion. Where your brain still scans sectors your eyes can't focus on. Where your muscles twitch like they're still firing the guns hours after you've landed. You don't understand the silence after. When the fortress is back on the ground. When the engines are off. When the crew is gone. And all you hear is the hum of something in your ears that isn't really there. You don't understand what it means to sit on your bunk with blood on your gloves and not know whose it is. You don't understand the math of survival. That every time you fly, the odds get worse. That 25 missions might as well be a death sentence stretched across a calendar. You think you'd be brave. You think you'd fight. You think you'd shoot back. But bravery isn't loud. And fighting isn't cinematic. And shooting back, it's mostly instinct, not choice. Real courage is sitting back in that turret, again knowing what happened yesterday. Knowing who didn't come back. Knowing the next one could be you. And going anyway. Real courage is silence. It's routine. It's motion. It's showing up. Every mission. Every time. Even when your hands shake. Even when your head screams. Even when your body begs to stay on the ground. You wouldn't survive a day. Because nobody did. Not all the way. Not without losing something. Not without giving up a piece of themselves the sky would never return. And if you think that's something to envy, then you've never had to clean blood from steel with a rag that used to be someone's shirt. You've never tried to forget the sound of a man burning, or what it looks like when a parachute doesn't open. This job wasn't built for survival. It was built for delay, to keep death away just long enough to drop the bombs. They tell you the war is over. You're done. You made it. 25 missions. Survived. Signed off. Stood in line for discharge papers. Shook hands. Smiled for a photo you don't remember taking. That should be it. That should mean you're home. But the truth? The missions haven't stopped. They've just changed. Now they come at night. You close your eyes and find yourself back in the turret. No warning, no logic. 1 minute you're lying in a bed. The next you're 20,000 feet up with the engine screaming and your hands on the trigger. The smell comes back first. Burnt oil. Cordite. Sweat you thought you left in a cloud bank over Europe. Then the sound. Wind howling through a hole in the fuselage. Screams over the intercom. Flak cracking like thunder inside your bones. You try to wake up, but the mission won't let you. You're flying it again. Same loop. Same shot. Same shadow you never caught the first time. And even when you do wake up, you're still there. Still scanning the room like it's a threat. Still braced for a hit that isn't coming. Still clenching your jaw like the next second might kill you. You get out of bed in the dark. No boots. No uniform. Just your feet on the floor like you're waiting for the pre-dawn knock. But there's no base. No crew. Just a room. A clock. A window that's too quiet. You pour a glass of water. Hold it in both hands to keep them from shaking. You tell yourself it's over. But your body doesn't believe you. Because for months, years, the mission was you. You didn't eat unless the mission allowed it. Didn't sleep unless the war paused. Didn't exist outside the noise of propellers and gunfire and steel. So, when it all stops, you don't celebrate. You flinch. Because silence isn't peace. It's a vacuum. And vacuums pull. You walk outside. Look up. You want to see flak. Want to see shapes in the stars. Part of you hopes the war's not really done, because then, at least, the wait made sense. Now you're just carrying it. Alone. No gun. No crew. No turret. Just the echo. And no one back home understands what you're still flying through. They think you're lucky. They think you're strong. They don't know you still duck when you hear thunder. Still scan rooftops when birds fly too low. Still reach for a headset that isn't there. Because here's the truth. The mission doesn't stop when the war ends. It just gets quiet. And in that quiet, you're still flying. They give you a medal. Small. Shiny. Heavy enough to mean something. But not enough to weigh down what you still carry. They call your name. You stand up. You shake hands. Click. Flash. Smile. You're told it's for bravery. For outstanding aerial service. For distinguished conduct under fire. But you know better. That medal isn't for bravery. It's for survival. And survival doesn't feel brave. It feels accidental. It feels like luck. Like coincidence. Like some invisible hand reached out in the smoke and pulled you left instead of right. That's what saved you, not training. Not courage. Not the voice yelling, "Bandit, high left." Not the turret rotation you fixed mid-mission with a bent nail and prayer. But you say thank you anyway, because that's what you're supposed to do. Because no one wants to hear what the medal doesn't say. It doesn't say you watched your best friend vanish in a fireball. It doesn't say you held someone's hand while they bled out, screaming for their mother. It doesn't say you haven't slept right in years, or that every time you hear metal rattle in the wind you duck. It doesn't say how many times you wanted to quit, or cry, or die, just to make it stop. It doesn't say how quiet it is when you land with fewer voices than you took off with. It doesn't say how many of those 25 missions were done with a body bag already prepped in the fuselage. And it definitely doesn't say how many times you almost gave up trying to explain it to people who will never understand. It just hangs there. Gold. Polished. Useless. Because the only ones who know what it really means are the ones who aren't here to see it. And even if they were, they wouldn't wear theirs either. They'd put it in a drawer, next to a picture, next to a patch, next to the part of themselves they left behind in the sky. Because that's the truth. The medals don't remember the mission. You do. The medals don't carry the dead. You do. The medals don't tell the story. They skip it. They sanitize it. They let others pretend the war was clean, precise, honourable. But war isn't any of those things. It's dirty, ugly, loud then too quiet, full of fear you'll never speak out loud. And the people who know that, they don't need medals. They just need time to sit, to breathe, to remember, or to forget. But you don't get to choose which. They say you came back alone, but that's not true. You brought them with you. Every one of them. The kid who hummed the same 3 bars before takeoff. The waist gunner who always pulled your gloves straight. The pilot who never raised his voice even when the wing was on fire. They didn't vanish. They just changed shape. Now they live in the pause between your thoughts. In the echo of a slammed door that sounds too much like flak. In the rhythm of your breathing when you try to sleep. You walk down the street and sometime you swear you hear them behind you. Boots on pavement. Laughs in the wind. The rattle of a Zippo lighter flipping open. You turn. No one's there. But they were. You know they were. You see them in crowds. Not clearly. Just a shape. Just long enough to make your chest tighten. They're not haunting you. They're sticking with you. Because they never got the walk back, never got the last meal, never got the letter home, never got the medal they weren't supposed to care about but secretly did. So, you carry them, in the space where your fear used to be, in the seconds you steal during normal days to remember, in the moment you catch yourself laughing and then stop. Because they should have been laughing too. You don't talk about it much. People wouldn't get it. They'd think ghosts meant guilt, regret, hallucination. But that's not it. It's respect. It's presence. It's the sound of a seatbelt click in a car and suddenly you're buckling into a turret again. And for just a second, he's there. You never really left the fortress. And they never really left you. Even the ones who made it back in body. Some of them didn't bring their minds with them. They sit across from you at the VFW and smile too wide, or drink too fast, or say nothing at all. They laugh like they're still in the air, because maybe they are. Some of you came home with ghosts inside. Some of you are ghosts now. Moving through quiet rooms, avoiding certain conversations. Keeping the photos boxed up in a drawer you never open, because if you do, they'll speak. Not with words, not with screams, just looks, just moments, just the kind of silence that makes your hands shake. You hear their name sometimes, in dreams, on the edge of sleep. When the engines in your head haven't quite shut down, you never answer out loud, but you always hear them, and they always hear you, because the ghost crew doesn't vanish. They follow, not to scare you, to remind you. You're still here, you still matter, and you're flying for more than just yourself. You don't fly anymore. The uniform's in a box. The gloves are dry. The steel you used to grip with both hands is rusting under glass in a museum somewhere. People walk past it, point at it, call it history. But for you, it was everything. You step into that museum once. Just once. The placard says Tail Gunner's Turret B-17 Flying Fortress. Neat letters. Clean facts. It doesn't say what it felt like. Doesn't say how the glass fogged over in seconds. Doesn't say how the barrel rattled loose during your 7th mission and you had to hold it in place with a broken wrench. Doesn't say how many men screamed into that headset and never finished their sentence. You lean close. You don't touch it. You could, but you don't. Because it's not yours anymore. The war ended. The plane was scrapped. You outlived the ghosts you carried, and yet it's still inside you. You close your eyes and you're there again. Not scared, not even sad. Just present, the hum of the engines, the cold press of steel on your legs, the long, perfect silence before the first flak burst. You don't need to fly it again. You already did. You did more than enough. 25 missions. More than most. Less than some. Exactly the number you were told to survive. But the truth is, you didn't survive 25. You survived each, one at a time. Each takeoff. Each turn. Each scream. Each shot. Until there were no more. You still carry it. Not with pride, not with shame, just with memory. Because someone has to. Someone has to remember the gunners. The ones who saw it all backward. Who watched the fight chase them. Who never bailed. Who braced and stayed and returned fire. Someone has to remember what it cost. So that when the next turret cools, when the next silence falls, when the sky closes again, it won't be forgotten. You step away from the display. Outside it's raining. Not hard. Just enough to make the sidewalk shine. You breathe in. Smell metal. Or maybe just memory. And for the first time in years, you don't look up. You don't scan the clouds. You don't check your six. You don't brace for the whistle of flak. You just stand there. Because the mission is over. And this is the last turret. Cold. Still. Silent. Exactly how it should be.